In this video, we'll take a look at the popular true crime podcast called Crime Junkie. We'll see what they do well as podcasters, and we'll discover 12 things that we can learn from the show. Crime Junkie is a popular podcast hosted by Ashley Flowers and Brit. It focuses on relaying true crime stories about serial killers, missing, murdered, and abducted people, mysterious deaths, all the things that true crime junkies love to hear about. The podcast is relayed in a storytelling fashion, but also in a way that's super casual and allows the audience to feel as if they're part of the conversation with the hosts. The first thing that we're going to take a look at from this show is the introduction. Let's take a listen.
Hi, Crime Junkies. I'm your host, Ashley Flowers, and the story I have for you today is about a woman from right here in Indiana, a mother of 6 who went missing just as things were starting to fall into place for her. And her family knows that someone has the answers that they're desperately looking for. This is the story of Donita Wilkerson.
Takeaway number 1 is to keep the introduction short. Ashley includes all of the elements of a good podcast introduction. She introduces the podcast, she introduces the host, and then she gets right in to pitching the content from the upcoming episode. Which brings us to takeaway number 2. Hook the audience quickly. Ashley starts with a hook and immediately demonstrates to the audience what they can expect to hear. Takeaway number 3 is to keep it consistent. She follows the same format for every single introduction. This not only creates consistency across the episodes, but also makes it easier for her as the host to write a new introduction every week because she can follow the same format for every single episode. Now, let's listen to the podcast's outro.
But as time passes, fewer leads come in, and things quiet down for a while. Until the summer of 1987, when an unrelated and horrific home invasion puts an early suspect back in the hot seat. I'm going to tell you all about that in part 2. You can either listen right now in the fan club, or I'll be back in your feeds with part 2 next week. But if you want to listen early, again, you can listen right now in the fan club. You can sign up on our website, crimejunkiepodcast.com. To see all the photos and source material for this week's episode, visit our website, crimejunkiepodcast.com. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Crime Junkie Podcast, and I'll be back next week with part 2 of Sean's story.
Takeaway number 4 is to have a call to action. By including your call to action at the end, it's top of listeners' mind when they're done listening to the episode, making them more likely to follow through. And takeaway number 5 is to pitch the next episode. In this case, because the episode was a 2-parter, they were able to pitch the next episode and get the audience hooked to come back for more. If you know what your next episode will be at the time of the recording, then make sure to pitch it to your audience and get them excited. Next, we're going to take a look at the way that they've named their episodes. Takeaway number 6 is to keep your title short and informative. You can see here that the episode names are all very short. By including the category of the crime, it gives the listeners an immediate idea of what the episode will be about. Takeaway number 7 is to consider search engine optimization. So make sure to include keywords and key phrases that will allow your podcast episode to get indexed with similar content. Takeaway number 8 is to keep it simple. By having the same format for the title of every episode, it makes it quick and easy to come up with new ones. This podcast combines more than one format, allowing it to stand out from other podcasts in the true crime niche. After listening to this show, you'll realize that it combines both a storytelling format and a 2-host conversational format. So takeaway number 9 is to make your show stand out. Consider the different ways that you can stand out from other similar podcasts. Things to look into to give yourself an edge are format, host dynamic, timing of episodes, music, sound effects, and the things that you do in addition to the podcast to engage with your audience, which brings us to our next point. It's always important to keep up with your audience online. Let's take a look at some ways that Crime Junkie has done this. Takeaway number 10 is to have exclusive content for top fans. As you heard in the outro that we just played, Crime Junkie has their own fan club. Members can pay a certain price each month to have access to exclusive content like bonus episodes, archived episodes, early access to episodes, exclusive merch, and many more perks. This is a great way to engage with your top fans and monetize your podcast. A great website to facilitate this process is Patreon. Takeaway number 11 is to consider accessibility. Crime Junkies has their very own YouTube channel where they post ASL versions of the episodes. They also occasionally post duplicate episodes recorded in different languages. Think about your target audience and think outside of the box of how you can better serve them. By keeping accessibility top of mind, you may even be able to reach a bigger audience. And takeaway number 12 is to make it interactive. On the Crime Junkie website, there are many different ways that listeners can interact with the podcast. Fans have the ability to recommend a case, download an If I Go Missing form, and even submit fan art. This allows listeners to interact with the podcast outside of actually listening to it, encouraging even more engagement and a feeling of community. So think outside the box and allow your fans to interact with the podcast online. There are 12 things that we can learn from the Crime Junkie Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to be notified every time we post a new episode. And if you want to know more about how to create a successful podcast, then check out this playlist of videos where we will give you actionable tips that you can implement on your show.